Now, in order to win, there's a few things about the game you should know. First of all, how to win the game. You do this by being the first player at your table to reach the Thrive spot on your board. So everybody has a board in front of them. You'll want to be the first player to reach Thrive. Now, you need to be the first player at your table, and you'll be the winner at your table. Our top 3 winners today are determined by the first 3 to win at their table. Everybody should have in front of them a game sheet, and your game sheet is broken up into 3 different sections. The first section that we're going to talk about is your income statement, and that's the part on the right side of your board. Now, the income statement is further broken down into different parts. The first one is your income part. This is where we track the money that you make. The second section is the expenses. This is where we track the money you spend. And then the third part of your income statement is what you have left over. This is your net income. And this is what you'll get as payday in the game. Everybody in the room, every person playing starts out with the same exact income. Everybody starts out with $500 in salary that you earn from your part-time job. So what I'd like for you to do now is please take your pencil and on the salary line write $500. Now, you'll have the opportunity to earn other types of income in the game as well. But to start with, this is our total income. So you probably noticed a few lines down from that salary line in your income section, there's another line that says total in. This is where you'll write your total income. So our total income to start is just that $500 from our salary. So if you could please go ahead and fill that in as well. So our income section right now consists of $500 in salary and $500 in total income. Once we have that done, we're going to move to the expenses section of your game sheet. As I said, this is where we track the money that you spend. And we all spend money every day. Most people in some way, shape, or form make a decision related to money. Whether it's putting gas in your car, stopping and buying a snack, or doing something else, most people are making decisions each and every day about money. Now, to start the game, you will have $350 in living expenses. This will include your taxes from your paycheck, your cell phone bill, if you go out with friends, if you stop and grab a burger. All of these are bundled up into your living expenses. To start the game, you have $350 in living expenses. So please take your pencil and fill in on that line where it says living, $350. The next thing we're going to take a look at, and this is really the first choice that we're going to ask you to make in the game, is if you'd like to donate to charity. Now, this is an optional thing for you to do. It's totally up to you. At the very bottom of your expense section, there's a line that says giving. If you choose to donate to charity, you're going to write on that line $50. It's a $50 a month donation. Again, it's optional. It's up to you. If you'd like to be a giver, go ahead and write $50 right now on your giving line in your expense section. And once we've got that done, we're going to total up our expenses. So just as we tracked our total income, we're going to track our total expenses as well. What I'll need you to do is total every line in your expense section. Now, for those of you who donated to charity, your total expenses will be $400. $350 in living expenses plus the $50 that you're donating to charity. If you chose not to donate to charity, your total expenses will be $350. Please go ahead and total out your expenses and write it on that line. Once we all have our total expenses calculated, we need to figure out what we have left over. As I said, this is our net income. Our net income is what we have left when we take all the money we make and we subtract out all the money we spend. So to start the game, your living expenses plus your charity are your total expenses. You're going to subtract that amount from your total income. So your net income might be $100 if you donated to charity, or it might be $150 if you chose not to donate to charity. Please calculate out your net income and fill it in on the net income line at the bottom of your income statement. Great. Now that we have that all done, I want to talk to you about the things that you'll do in the game. Now, in the game, the way you'll play is you'll draw a card, you'll read that card out loud, and then you'll make a decision or follow instructions on the card. There are 3 different types of cards in this game. The first type of card is called a Thrive card. Thrive cards are optional cards. You may draw a Thrive card and read it and decide that it sounds fun and interesting and you choose to do the card. You may also draw a Thrive card and maybe you're not sure or you just decide not to do it, and that's okay. If you choose not to do a Thrive card, you just discard that card and then we'll move on to the next player at your table. The second type of card is a dive card. Now the dive cards are not optional. The dive cards you will need to follow the instructions on, unless it says for some reason it might not apply to you. And I'll give you an example of that. If I draw a card and it says you have to put new tires on your car and it costs you $400, but I haven't purchased a car yet in the game, that would not apply to me. And the cards will tell you that. It would say on there, this card only applies if you have a car. So watch out for those little instructions. You may be able to save yourself some money if something doesn't apply to you. The third type of card in the game is a BFAB card. BFAB is an acronym that we use for presentation and communication skills. BFAB stands for back straight, eye contact, firm handshake, ask questions and allow answers, and be bold. Now, if you draw a BFAB card, it will ask you to stand up and present something at your table. Couple quick things about this. BFAB isn't meant to be really stressful, it's meant to be fun. So what we want you to do is just stand up and present what the card is asking you to talk about. So your instructions will be there right on the card. You don't have to try to come up with something on the spot. Not only that, but it's meant to be quick, maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Don't feel like you have to stand up and give us a 5-minute presentation. Just 20 to 30 seconds, and again, your instructions of what you'll talk about are right on the card. And the most important part of this is there is no judging as part of BFAB. If you stand up and you do the card, you'll get the points for it. Your peers don't have to approve your presentation. I'm sure you'll do a great job no matter what. Now that we've talked a little bit about scoring, I want to tell you how we score the game. You may have noticed on your board there are 2 tracks, one that moves up the board and one that moves down. The scoring mechanism in the game is called a Thrive score. Now, your cards will tell you what your Thrive score is, and this will show you how you move up or down on the track. For example, if you get a card that says +1 Thrive, you'll move up 1 space. If you get a card that says -1 Thrive, you'll move down 1 space. What I need everybody to go ahead and do right now is to take your player piece, the game piece that was on your game sheet, and put it on the survive spot on that game board. Everybody starts out in survival mode. And as the game goes along, we make decisions to get us to thrive. So if you haven't already, please put your player piece on the survive spot. Remember, survive does count as a space as you're playing the game. Now that we have everybody's piece on the board and we've talked a little bit about the cards, I want to share with you some information about the other sections of the game board. We talked about your income statement. The other 2 sections make up what we call your balance sheet. Your balance sheet shows us how much you have in assets, and these are things that have value and earn you money. It also tells us what your liabilities are. So your liabilities that appear on your balance sheet, these are amounts that you owe to other people. So here's an important thing to remember about assets and liabilities. Assets, as I said, these are things that have the opportunity to make you money, so you might receive monthly income from your assets. Liabilities do the opposite though. If we owe someone money, we have to pay it back, right? So liabilities will have an expense, and you'll see that on your income statement. So as you're going through gameplay, remember, assets equal income, liabilities equal expenses, and then you can decide what you'd rather have more of. As we go through the game, you might have the opportunity to invest in assets like stocks and businesses. You might also decide to go to college, in which case you might take a loan. You might decide to buy a car, and again, may need to borrow some money for that. And then the third type of liability in the game is your credit card. In the game, you may have an opportunity, either because you don't have enough cash or just you choose to use your credit card to pay for something using credit. Everyone in the game automatically has access to a credit card. You've already qualified. So if the situation comes up, it's your choice. Would you rather pay with cash, or would you rather pay with your credit card? Again, the cards will give you all the information you need to know. So if you get an opportunity to go to college, it'll tell you, is it on scholarship or on loan? The same thing with the car. The cards will tell you if this particular car deal involves a loan or if it doesn't. Now, moving back over to the assets column, I'd like to talk with you about the businesses that are here. Everyone in the game may encounter the opportunity to invest in a business. We have 2 different types of businesses in the game: active businesses and passive businesses. Now, you might be wondering what the difference is. An active business is a business where you are there at the time of the sale or the time of the transaction, either providing the good or providing the service. A passive business, however, is one that you don't necessarily have to be there for the transaction in order for it to make money. I'll give you a couple examples. A babysitting business where you're there providing the babysitting business and the services, that's an example of an active business. However, a vending machine is an example of a passive business. You're not there standing next to the machine trying to convince people to buy what's in it. People will come up and they'll decide what they want, and your vending machine would make money whether you're there or not. The reason we differentiate them in the game is because they take different amounts of time, and you're busy. You've got school, you have a part-time job, you may be involved in sports or extracurricular activities and have family stuff going on. So in this game, you have 15 hours of what we call biz time to do these businesses. And passive businesses take 1 hour, active businesses take 5. So for each passive or active business you take, your card will remind you how much time is required. You can start as many businesses as you want as long as you don't exceed that 15 hours of biz time that you're using. Before we get started, I want to do a couple sample cards with you. But I want to give you a tip first, and this is something that's really important. We talked a little bit about other types of assets, but I want to be sure you realize that a savings account is a type of asset. Very top of your game sheet, above all the other assets, you'll notice that one of those lines says savings account. This is a great way to put money aside so that you can have it if you need it, but in the game it's also a great way to get a couple extra points. Here's the way the savings account works. If you choose to open a savings account, you can do it with any amount of money that you have in front of you. You take that money and you give it to the banker. And you say, I'd like to open my savings account. When you open your savings account, you'll then write the amount that you gave to the bank on the savings account line in your asset column on your game sheet. So if I choose to open my account with $50, I'll take $50 and give it to the banker, and then on my game sheet, I will fill in $50 on my savings account line. I get a +1 Thrive score for opening my savings account. I'm going to continue to save money, and I'll get another +1 Thrive score when my balance gets above $500. So in the game, you can get 2 Thrive points just for putting money aside for yourself to have in case you need it. Now, if for some reason something happens and I need to pull money out of my savings account, it may dip below that $500 balance. In that case, I would have to give my Thrive point back, so I would just move backwards 1. And then when my balance got back up above $500, I could move up 1 again. The idea is to keep that money in there though. If you need it, it's there in case you have an emergency. Now that we've talked about savings and the extra tips for getting a Thrive score, and we've already talked about the 3 different types of cards, I'd like to do a couple sample cards with you. This will get you familiar with how to read the cards and how to put information on your game sheet. Now the first card I want to do is a Thrive card, and we're going to all do this together. So as we walk through it, I'd like you all to fill in the information as I'm explaining the card. This particular card says, your boss notices you're going above and beyond the call of duty at work. At review time, you get a $50 raise in salary every month. This card is worth a +1 Thrive score. So the first thing that you may want to do is move your game piece for your +1 Thrive score. Don't forget though to update your income statement. You just got a $50 raise in salary. That's going to increase your salary every month, which will also increase your total income. So everybody right now, if you could, please take your pencil and update your salary for your $50 raise. So everybody's salary now should be $550. Once we have our updated salary, we also update our total income, and our net income will change as well for that increase in $50. Once again, don't forget to move to that +1 on the Thrive board. So everyone now should move up from Survive. We're all on the +1 spot on the Thrive track. Now that we've had our income statement updated for that first card, we'll do card number 2. Card number 2 is also a Thrive card. And again, in the game, you would have the option to do this card, but we're going to do it all together as a group. This is a business card. It says, you may choose to start a tutoring business. You hire your friends to do the tutoring, you schedule the appointments, and everybody has a chance to make money. Now, is this an active or a passive business? Well, because your friends are there scheduling or doing the appointments that you scheduled, this would be a passive business. What we'll do is we're going to fill in the information from the card in the passive business section of your game sheet. And again, everything's right on the card for you. So the name of the card, Tutor for You, you'll find that in the upper left corner of your game card. Go go ahead and write in that first column on your game sheet where it says name Tutor for You. Next, we're going to look at how much time it takes and what our Thrive score is. So this particular business, because it's a passive business, takes you 1 hour a week. And you'll notice the card tells us it's a +1 Thrive score. So everybody gets to move up another spot on that Thrive board. Now this particular card tells us it doesn't cost anything to start this business. In the game, you may come across businesses that have a startup cost. If that's the case, you pay the bank out of the cash you have in front of you, the amount of your startup cost. But for this one, again, you can write 0 in that cost section. There's no debt involved in this business, so again, in the debt column, you'd write 0. And this card tells us that our monthly profit on this business is $100. So we'll write $100 in the biz profit line. Now at the bottom of your business sections, you'll notice that there are spaces that you can keep track of your total biz time used as well as your total biz profit. So right now our total biz time is 1 hour, and then our total biz profit is $100. But we're not done yet because this is money you make, right? And where do we track money you make? Right, we track it in our income statement. So we'll take that $100 that we just started earning for biz profit, and we're going to add that to our income section of our income statement. Now you might notice that there's a line that says biz profit right underneath where you wrote salary. We want to have these separated so we know how much income we're making from our job and how much we're making from our business. On that biz profit line, please fill in the $100. Now when we add a line item to our income section, what else do we need to change? We need to change our total income, and our net income goes up as well. Go ahead and make your updates to your income statement now. At this point, everyone should have $650 in total income. This is the $550 from your job plus the $100 from your biz profit. Now, your net income will depend on whether or not you donate to charity or not, so that may be different for people at your table. But right now, everybody's game sheet should have on it their one business, their Tutor for You business, as well as your salary, your biz profit, your expenses, and your net income. Now, the reason we want to make sure we always keep this net income up to date is because, like I said at the beginning, this is how we determine our payday. When you hit payday on the game board, the amount that you will receive from the banker is the amount of your net income. So here's the way payday works. Payday happens on every 4th week in the game. Now, every game board has an octagon on it that's broken out into 4 different sections, and those each represent 1 week. So what we'll do is we'll have one person at every table who will be our time tracker. And time tracker, what your job is it's your job to keep track of what week it is. So what happens is that every time your entire table takes a turn, that represents 1 week. So if you have 5 people at your table, once all 5 people take a turn, that represents 1 week. Timekeeper, at that point, you would move the game piece that's on the octagon to the following week. And again, once all 5 players go again, we'll move on to the next week. Once we hit week 4, that's payday. And the banker will hand out the amount of your net income as your payday. Everybody to start the game should have $250 in beginning cash. So banker, if that's not already on the table, be sure to hand out $250 to each player. Don't forget, the most important thing here, guys, is to have fun. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to having you play the game with us.